Hot date tonight, so we got to get out of here. Oh well, John does too. John's got a hot date. All right, very good. Maybe I need to go to that party. So, seeing as how we have a lot of people here in the audience, we'll say hello to everybody. Hello. glad you're here. With that, I will call to order the work session for November 12th, 2020. We'll note on there we don't have any public hearings this evening. I think that's a record. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. But under staff action items, we have city clerk. We have the approval of the minutes from the city council public hearing and work session October 15th. Is there any discussion on this? Nothing. City council regular meeting of October 2020. Oop, Leslie's got a question. Yeah.
Oh,
I'll turn mine off. Maybe that'll
what's
help.
happening? I don't have any discussion on last month, but I did notice something on the month before, and therefore I wonder how we deal with that. I think that 2 months ago, minutes have to be amended because the dental doctor's office on Chamblee Dunwoody Road that came before us, the description of it was 1 story, and then turns out it's supposed to be 2 stories. So I think that's confusing. I don't know what that does to the legality of everything, but
I don't know that we can look into that tonight,
Yeah.
but I think that's something that we can surely ask the city manager to take a look at, and if there is some type of remedy, I don't know what it is, but we can surely investigate it.
sounds good to me.
I've always said there's no ball of twine we wind up we can't unwind, so we'll look into it.
Unless it's made out of rubber bands.
Yes, that's true. And it just makes it harder. All right, is there any other discussion on minutes? All right, thanks, Leslie. Under city manager, we had the 2021 budget.
Thank you, Mayor. This is just a continuation of the conversation from the previous meeting. I did include the letter in the packet, but basically it's a continuation. If there are any questions on what was presented, if there are any items that you would like to see added, that's where we are. Again, we have a revenue estimate of $21,769,000 and a proposed budget of $23,639,000, which leaves $1.8 million roughly in fund balance usage.
Very good, thank you, John. Was there any further discussion on this from the other evening? John?
Yes, I have a question. I saw a design, I think, John, you showed it to me, for the Johnson Ferry Road up by Lowe's, kind of the gore improvements and whatever else was going on up there. Is that kind of gone away, or is that in next year's budget? Or we don't know yet?
That is proposed in the 2021 budget for SPLOST, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Was there any other questions about the budget?
I have 2 questions.
Yes, ma'am.
And God bless John Walker. I've been bombarding him with emails with questions about this stuff because it's not my. I'm not the quickest study with numbers, I suppose. The garbage truck, that's a bigger number than we had seen before. I had seen $300,000 for the garbage truck. It got to 4. Is that just because it's more expensive now?
The $400,000 is, the garbage truck itself is roughly $350,000, and I believe we budgeted for a trailer that would go with the garbage truck.
Oh, okay.
And that trailer, help me, Mr. Wiggins, would help with,
Yes.
I'll let him answer that.
Well, it's actually a device that will attach to the back of a pickup truck that we will use in the downtown area, since the roads are a little bit more narrow in the streetscape area. We'll use that device for rear pickups behind the businesses.
Okay, so it's accessories.
Correct.
It's the truck and accessories.
And accessories. They
Accessories.
accessorize well.
We say, yeah, seriously. I'll get it a string of pearls. And the other question that I had was about, and Emmy, of course, isn't here. Do we need to think about hiring another administrative assistant, that position that was empty in the city clerk's office? Do we need to think about filling that position in the upcoming year?
We We have some options there. I'd like to explore that a little bit. We've spoken with some firms that can provide assistance on that, on occupation taxes and alcohol licenses and the massage and spa licenses. You know, that's something that occurs really in November
seasonal.
and March.
Yeah.
So we're looking into that. We do have a position for an admin in the budget.
Okay.
For City Hall.
Okay.
But that position is really envisioned more as an admin, not as, it's a replacement, or not a replacement. People aren't replaced, but it is a refilling a position of an admin. So
Okay.
we could also explore that.
Okay, great.
Other questions? Very good. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Under Development Department, we have the Food Security in Atlanta's Latinx Community Study.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I'm sorry I didn't have more public hearings for you tonight, but we will have a full agenda next month, so don't worry. This is a study, the food security study. This was funded by ARC's CDAP, our Community Development Assistance Program. It's a relatively new program where ARC provides technical assistance to complete the study, and the city or local government provides a small match. In this case, the city of Chamblee provided the financial support, which was a $5,000 contribution that we supported the project out of the Green Communities Fund. The project was led by Open Hands Atlanta, and technical assistance was provided by ARC. Next slide, please. The study area did go beyond the city. It includes portions of Brookhaven and Dorville, and then Chamblee, all centered along Beaufort Highway. Just going to hit the highlights here, not going to spend much time, but just wanted to touch a little bit on the reason for the study. And you'll see in these charts that 60% of people along the corridor said that they felt that they were afraid they were going to run out of food before they had more money. And then 68% were afraid that they were not going to have enough food money to buy more food when needed. So that's the purpose for the study. Next slide. Just a little bit about what food security is. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's being secure in your food sources, not just that you have food, but that it's healthy food. That's the big differentiation. And the study really looks at, through data and assistance through ARC staff, and classifies if an area is food secure by availability, access, utilization, and stability. Next slide. There is a differentiation between a food desert and a food swamp. You can see here that a lot of the area, those areas in green, are classified as a food desert. Now, a lot of people may say, hey, there's plenty of restaurants, places to get food. That's where we're talking about a food swamp. That's where there's a lot of fast food restaurants, which often come with fried foods that are unhealthy. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about food swamp. There was a lot of public involvement, so there were focus groups all up and throughout the corridor, and they looked at different characteristics and put those in different categories in terms of socioeconomics, physical environment, access, resources, health considerations. Next slide. These next few slides are just samples of some of the policy and programming ideas from the plan. The first batch is about food access and programming. Here we're talking about how can healthy food be incentivized, and mostly this is through the doubling SNAP benefits that we actually added to our ordinance recently. Also partnering with nonprofits and faith-based organizations. Community and home gardening. Another idea is that to allow more community gardening. One specifically is reaching out to apartment managers and making it easier for you to potentially have patio gardens so you can grow some healthy vegetables just on your patio at your apartment. Transportation and pedestrian infrastructure. So as you can imagine, people that are food insecure often are pedestrians or take transit. So this is just recommending that the cities continue to enhance sidewalk infrastructure and also to make bus shelters more usable. Housing affordability. So one reason a lot of these households are food insecure is because they spend a disproportionate amount of money on housing, which isn't surprising. And then the final category is really about education. As you can imagine, a lot of the people in the corridor are Spanish speaking, so there are some recommendations for us to continue progressing and finding ways to get education and information out to Spanish speaking residents. Staff is recommending that council approve the resolution and adopt the food security study.
Thank you very much. Turn my mic back on. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Matt. Does anybody have any questions for Matt or comments?
I have a comment. Being a gardener, I find that it is, I'm sorry, more expensive for somebody to grow their own vegetables more often than not than it is for them to purchase them. So, you know, patio gardening, container gardening in apartment complexes seems to be, that's a throwaway as far as I'm concerned, because you're just not going to get much out of it. And I would hate to see any effort wasted on it. However, on the other hand, I do see apartment complexes, one in particular, that have a lot of open land that could certainly be used for, I see an airport that has a lot of open land that could be used for a community garden. And I would like to see more emphasis placed on centrally located community gardening opportunities that don't require that an apartment owner dweller who's already paying too much money for their rent can find a place to raise some food.
Okay.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Great.
This kind of piggybacks off of what Leslie was saying, or at least this was the comment that I found fascinating about this food study. I read it. The thing that surprised me the most, and why I'm more in favor of allowing folks to grow their own food, is that the folks are incredibly dissatisfied with the quality of produce that they get. That they're like, peppers don't taste like anything here. You call this a pepper? Like, this is trash. They don't like the quality that they're receiving, and they would love to buy organic because organic is perceived as better quality. That's one of the reasons why I think if they could grow their own, it might not be completely economic, but they might get something that's satisfactory. That was really, really, really surprising to me. Was that we like vegetables, but these don't taste like vegetables. So, but the study was really, really insightful, and I'm very glad that we put up the money to partner with the other agencies to do this. Thank you so much.
Yep, great.
Can I ask a few questions?
Sure. Nobody else is here.
Hi, I'm Beth.
Beth, come up to the microphone, please, so we can hear your questions.
The questions were mostly for him. In the study, because I did not get to read it.
We need to disinfect here because, we're very
sorry.
COVID-like conscious. There we go.
I just ran right up here, too.
Matt, you just never know. All right, so
Never.
yes, please go ahead and comment.
In the study, does it recommend that the city pays for the at-home patio gardening, or provide any financial support or any supplies?
It's more of a zoning thing.
Yeah.
Just from a zoning, okay, that's an easy kill. I just didn't know if we had to do funds. The other thing I'm asking in general is the current community gardens that are out there. I might have a garden, I pick my stuff, but of course I have 20 million cucumbers. Does that go to our local food bank, and is it harvested to the community?
Thank you very much. Good questions.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely
Hold on, Matt. We got to disinfect, bud.
Spray my face.
Hey, it'll be 2025 before you know it, and we won't have to do that anymore. Or aren't we in 2025 now?
Practically. So, I don't know and Jody might know this better, if we've partnered with any organizations for our existing community gardens to do something where we can donate excess vegetables and fruits. That's definitely something that would be worth looking into, and we can definitely take a look at that. And I can share my contact information with you.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? No? Okay.
Thank
Thank you very much. All right, appreciate it. We'll move on. Everybody loves F for finance, but we're not there yet. So we're on D for police department. E for Parks and Recreation. Love that show. Recreation Advisory Committee, bylaw change.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a quick request. You had received a memo last month or month before last. We do have several people interested in joining the Recreation Advisory Committee, and so we're requesting a change to the bylaws to allow some flexibility in the membership, which is currently set at 6. So we're asking for a change to a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 9.
Very good. Is there any discussion on this item? Glad to know we got people interested. That's a great committee. All right, so we can skip over F for finance because there's nothing on it. G for Public Works, we have approval of consultant for tiered bioretention and stream restoration design services.
Thank you, Mayor. We did go out to an RFP for the tiered bioretention project, which is partially funded through the 319 grant that the city received. This is, of course, in large part, the stream restoration project that was discussed last year, I believe. It may have been 2 years ago, to your point earlier.
Yeah.
Arrow Creek is classified as an impaired creek, and that is the creek that runs next to Dresden Park. And so controlling stormwater flow and creating a tiered bioretention system will help with correcting or restoring the creek to some extent. So staff did solicit proposals. We received several. This is partially funded through the 319 grant. It's actually match. It's an $800,000 project with $400,000 coming from the EPD. And we are recommending W.K. Dixon as the firm. Out of 10, they were the most responsive. The cost of the design and other services by W.K. Dixon is $268,819. This will also include project management, and of course, half of this is funded through the grant. The rest will go towards construction.
Very good. Any discussion on this item? Leslie?
So explain to me again I'm sure that you did, but I'm going to ask this question anyways. You looked at other projects that they've done. They presented examples, et cetera. So this is for design and not necessarily installation.
It's not installation.
Okay.
It is design and project management.
Project management.
Al, if you want to add anything to that.
Yes, it's just basically for design, contract, and construction administration.
Administration, okay. Thank you. By the way, the remediation with the bioretention, with the seating wall or seating stone, whatever you want to call it, that's a great idea. I love it.
I saw there were even people already sitting on it. It was a picture, right? Okay, any other questions? More stupid comments? No, I'll keep my mouth shut. All right, H for economic development. We have one gateway sign design. Matt already told us it's a long walk, so we understand.
Me, Mayor and Council, most of you have seen these concepts already, but so I'll be relatively brief. But the background is that the new Holiday Inn Hotel that's going in at the corner of Savoy and Chamblee, Dunwoody, part of their agreement was that they would provide space for a wayfinding gateway sign. So we went to back to our designer, Todd Vaught, who designed the original gateway and wayfinding system, to come up with some concepts. This shows you the site. You'll see that it's kind of a little sliver of land. It's big, but it's a different shape than what our current gateway signs would fit. If we wanted to retrofit what we currently have, we would just have to finagle the design a little bit. But he came up with 4 concepts that kind of iterate what is existing but updating them. So we wanted to present them to you tonight to get your feedback on those. So the first concept, Concept A or Concept 1, a take on what's already existing with those bottom brick parts, but obviously pulling from the Chamblee sign that's over on the Oliver with corrugated metal behind it. I think this is a 3D angle. Concept 2, stacking the letters, kind of modernizing the letters too, using that same base so there's still some cohesiveness with the rest of the existing signs. Concept 3, this is actually more similar to what we have, but obviously kind of beefing it up a bit. Once again, going back to that Chamblee neon sign look, and then adding a little bit more detail in the railroad pieces, the steel pieces. Now, all of these will have some type of lighting in them. Holiday Inn has said that they can connect it so we can have lighting, which is what we wanted in, originally for our gateway signs, but we had budgetary constraints. And then the 4th design is the most similar to what we have existing, just updating, modernizing it a little bit, but the closest to what we have, especially the base with the seal at the bottom and the years. And that is it for the concept. So just getting your feedback, what you guys think of it, if there is a favorite, what that is.
Run through them again. Behind door number 1.
Okay, so concept A is this one. More horizontal. I think that'll look very nice where the way it's situated in front of the Holiday Inn at the corner. But if you want something more tall, more vertical, obviously.
Oh, that's my favorite, Mesa. What? Don't poo-poo my favorite.
All right.
Okay,
Next.
so vertical. 3rd one is more like railroady. I don't know how else to. And then the 4th one, very similar to what.
All right. So
I like 2 and 4. I like the heights. Personally.
yeah, but I like the idea of adding the the sign on the Oliver's become very quickly iconic. I thought it might take longer, but it's been used all over the place. I
Yeah.
think it would be nice to have that, and I think on that entry there, especially if it's going to be lit, would be lit, as my son would say. So I like using either one that has that concept in it. I do like the idea of using something that's similar to our others, just because somebody drilled in my head a long time ago having consistency and how some of this, uniformity design, but that's why.
Right, stay on brand.
What about this one with just the Chamblee kind of like the bottom?
So like this one with,
Just
With
Chamblee.
that.
kind of like with that on it, without all the extra.
Yeah, that seems like to be the only difference is the stuff in the middle.
So like that guy, but on the last one.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to say City of Chamblee.
Okay.
Then the Chamblee letters can be bigger.
Yes. Yeah. Good point. Wait, John, are you?
I like the
controlling
seal.
it?
I like keeping the seal.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Okay.
that one looks like our other entry markers, but I think it'd be cool to add
We
the
got to
new.
stay on
And
brand.
then just adding the Oliver thing would be
Right.
cool.
Brian, did you have an opinion? All right, very good.
I almost think that one with, instead of Chamblee being horizontal, Chamblee being what's in between the 2 pillars instead of the X's.
Like Chamblee vertical.
Yeah.
Coming down vertical
Yeah.
on.
Well, like coming
Well, what
down
do you
vertical
know?
there. I don't know. I just think it's a lot of vertical. I don't know. But
Okay.
you guys
Yeah,
decide.
but we're talking about people coming up off the interstate, et cetera, et cetera. So, I don't know.
Okay. No, this is very helpful feedback. I'll get Todd to sketch up the concept that you guys were talking about, the number 4, but with the more neon sign looking letters.
Yeah, that would be great, please.
Okay. Great.
All right.
Step.
Are we good there? Thank you very much. The next item, there's a couple council members here that could care less about it, but we'll talk about it anyway. Well, I was talking about Karen and Leslie, but no, it's and very grateful to all of our council, but Karen and Leslie for kind of taking a lead on talking about a public art plan. But I'd like to hear about our 2021 public art plan, please.
So as you know, we did an arts master plan last year that dictated to create a public art commission, which we did form in the middle of our shutdown in May. And then also part of that arts master plan requires that every year the Public Arts Commission produces this annual art plan to talk about what they've accomplished in the past year and plans that they're hoping, projects that they're hoping to work on in the future. This just gives an overview. It's not a picture of everyone, but just to show that we have only met virtually, which I find very sad. But since we started in May, it's an awesome, energetic group. Karen can tell you guys about it. Very passionate about the arts in Chamblee, and really wanting to make Chamblee even more of a destination and prioritizing arts. So the proposed projects that we have, and not all of them have funding sources, but there's two big ones that we've started working on. The first one being the mural that's going to go on the new public safety building. And that process, we've already started reaching out to organizations to get a lot of community input. We want to work with organizations along Beaufort Highway to get as much input as possible, while also working with the police department to make sure it's a mural that's something that the community is really proud of. And hopefully getting the painting started once the building is completely finished this spring. Then we have the MARTA fence project. I'll go into detail a little bit more on that one. The funding would come from, we have a little bit of money set aside in the Renaissance plan for that. And then the third item, the Beaufort Highway gateway signs, y'all saw that a couple months ago, I can't remember when, but I do think it's a good project for the Arts Commission to take on, because they kind of are these art pieces, these sculptures. I think they'd be great for the commission to work on for next year. The Arts Center business plan, this is something that a handful of us have discussed about creating. It's a business plan, it's a feasibility and impact study to turning the current City Hall into an arts center. We've talked about, we need to figure out what the needs really are, what can go in there, and how it can function and sustainably run. And then a public art walking tour. This was one that the commission was really passionate about. We already have great existing public art, and we want to highlight that, turn that into a tour, that would be online, that folks could follow on their phones to see what already is there. The budget is just for marketing, maybe making some postcards for that. So going into a little bit more detail, this is the unfinished wall where the mural is going to go on the public safety building. I'm not a great photographer, so this is a weird angle. It looks much smaller than it actually is. It's I think it's 18 feet by 32 feet. I could be wrong with that, but it's bifurcated by the stairway. It's really cool. It's the side you see if you're going down south on Beaufort Highway. You'll see that side. The temporary art project, we've been working with MARTA on this to do a fun fence design on that area that will eventually be our mobility hub. This is a very, very rough concept one of our members put together. It probably won't be We Heart Chamblee, but something like that, a positive message, and we want to make it very interactive. We've got some great ideas with that. MARTA's been very supportive. These are the gateway signs that you guys have already seen. The Art Center, the concept behind that, and the walking tour, like I said. And that's it.
Very cool. Is there any discussion on this? No?
Great
All right.
work, Catherine.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All kidding aside, we're all very excited to see where the arts program, and some more specifically the public art, is going in the city. It's a great addition. Thank you for all your hard work.
Of course, thank you.
All right, boards, authorities, committees. Nobody. City Attorney, on Tuesday evening, we'll have a first read of the amendment to the charter related to a quorum, and we'll have a second read of an ordinance that has to do with the tree fund ordinance amendment. Mayor and council, all of you. What did I miss?
I had some questions on this charter change, and and Mr. Walker and I had discussed it, and he said he wanted to discuss it tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We can discuss it tonight, but man, you let me get pretty far past it before you stopped me.
Well, you were kind of quick. I was waiting for you to say any questions. No, John, I'd spoke with you about having the ability to, having the ability for us to have requiring 3 votes for anything to pass or be voted on in a particular. Can we add that into the charter somehow?
If that's the wish of the council, we can add that into this amendment. It would just be a statement that 3 votes would be required for any motion to move forward or
Yeah, John, I'd want to know a little bit more why, because if you're limited in the quorum, then I'd like to understand your reasoning behind that.
My reasoning behind it is that it would just keep it consistent among elected body that, it basically takes 3 votes for anything to pass in the city, whether we have 5 people there, 4 people there, or 3 people there. And it just kind of, I guess, there's some concerns that I've heard from people about having something pass under the cover of night where, 3 people get together and pass something in 2 to 1. I've spoke to the other members of council and they agreed to meet with me verbally to meet over the phone, but I don't want to speak for them here.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't know. I think if you're going to limit, or you're going to number, I mean, we've just always gone on a majority vote wins.
Yeah.
And basically you need to also look at what Robert's Rules Order says, because I guess we need to make sure that, we follow Robert's Rules Order unless we have special rules that supersede that. That's something that would have to be made sure that it was properly documented. I know we have special rules that I could probably go dig out of my basement that, I try to follow that were given to me when I first got on the council, but, things change. And when you're saying we follow Robert's Rules of Order, majority carries the day.
Right.
So with the exception of certain types of motions where it takes 2/3.
Well, that's what it would take for me to support it, and
I understand,
so I
John.
just and like I said, I talked to John, and John talked to Joe, and it's all.
Don't get defensive, John.
No, I'm not.
I'm trying to make
just-
sure that the
I
procedure that we follow is easily understandable.
Gotcha.
Brian?
The quorum would still require 4 people to be present, is that correct?
It'd be-
That's correct. Quorum, the new, if this were adopted, the new quorum would be 3 members plus the mayor or mayor pro tem.
Okay, so you couldn't really in that situation find yourself in a situation where you wouldn't have a majority of 3 people supporting something, could you?
You would not.
You could have, in that situation with the mayor or mayor pro tem only voting in case of a tie, you could have a situation where you'd have a 2-to-1 vote.
Okay.
That's true. Yeah, because you have 4. Well, like I said, I'm not opposed, as you would say, to this addition. I would highly caution the council that special rules that you would adopt that would supersede any Robert's rules as it's stated in our charter may work great as long as this group is still meeting, but may be completely forgotten at some point in the future, near or distant. Just keep that in mind. Review your charter and your Robert's Rules of Order before you make any difference and changes to your.
Well, we have to
amendment
make
quorum.
let John know so for the first read tonight, so we probably need to decide that.
Not necessarily. I mean, you can have first read on Tuesday and you can make some amendments to it before second read next month.
I was just following my instructions.
I did speak with Joe about that, and I'm not. I need to go check and see what the advertisements were, but I think we could do that. It would be our preference just to know if we do want to make a change, but we could
That's fine.
make the first read on
If-
Tuesday.
like,
and then
I haven't talked to anybody about this. All right? I'm just pointing out, as I always do, that the primary role here of the mayor and sit in this meeting is to make sure that we follow the rules as they're outlined on the bottom of that lid of the game, that whatever we're playing, we flip it over and we follow the rules. So I'm trying to tell you that there is a challenge when you put in rules that supersede what Robert's Rules of Order calls for. I would ask you to consider that before you make this change. So y'all decide what you want to do and talk about it, but that's my position on it.
What do you need tonight? Because, I mean, I hear a lot of silence, but
Well, it can be, if a change is to be made, it can be tonight or Tuesday night.
All right,
But
well,
we
hearing
would
no
need to-
discussion, we're going to move on. Next item on the order then is, on the agenda is the second reading of ordinances, which would be the tree fund ordinance amendment. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Mayor and council all get big stars. Citizen comment. Would anybody care to come up and comment? Do we have an executive session this evening?
We do not.
Without objection, we're out of here.